So I'm Carlette Badenhorst from Project CB, and we're here at the Sandton Convention Center, and right at the back, they are busy doing what they do best. They're registering for REALSuccess 2020. I can't wait to experience the absolute incredible information that's coming out and make a success out of each day and our business. So let's go and see what they have in store for us. At the back of me, you can see how the people are flocking into this incredible event. As we enter into the hall, I've discovered that the one and only Robin Banks will be our MC for these 2 days.
So I'm gonna ask you, I'm gonna be your MC. My job is to keep your energy high so that you can be present and focused.
Yes.
You can phone them later. If someone phones you, hey, strategy, Futek, I'll phone you later. I am transforming my life and other people's lives also. I don't have time. So,
Robin Banks introduced us to Brian Welsh. What a brilliant mind he is. He's considered the brain of global authority on entrepreneurship.
That went too fast, so I screwed that one up. You weren't supposed to see that word. Okay, can everyone just look up? Let me just get that little thing. If everyone just look into the phone, please. Men in black. Most of you didn't get that. But anyway. So, I'm not gonna trick you, but if I had said to you, but you know this already, if I had said, this is truthfully the Oxford Dictionary definition. You can go to Google, go to Oxford Dictionary, look it up. What does the word entrepreneur mean? It is a person who starts a business or businesses at risk with the hope of making, so you saw it, but you didn't think it. And that's what I told you about before I came up, in the previous session, right? People say money. It's kind of sad that you think business is about a hope of making money, because I don't know if you can actually call it a business if you're not making money. Not sure about that, right? But it's actually even more sad that we don't realize that business is about making profit and not money. Mr.
With you the 3 secrets to marketing. And really this is about the impact as what do you want to achieve? What is the impact that you want to have on this world? Because if you're not focusing on the impact, you're not going to get anywhere. And the second thing is, what is your intention? Now I want you to write something else down. Focusing on the money will take you further away from it. If you are only focusing on how much money you're going to make, it's going to take you further and further away from your goal. And how many of you have set monetary goals that you want to hit in 2020? Yeah? And are they big? Are they scary? Yes? You see, the problem is that most of us are actually focusing on the lagging indicators and not the leading indicators. What do I mean by that? Well, money, the amount of money you make is a result of the work that you do. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay? So how you are seen as how successful or whatever you are is by the amount of money that you make. But that is not actually the work that goes into it. That is the impact that you have. So now you need to start thinking on a different level. What are the leading indicators? And those leading indicators are, how much impact am I having? And what is my intention? Because when you start focusing on something bigger than money, the way that you market will change. Okay? And I've experienced this myself. After struggling for a couple of years, there was a moment where I went, aha, and the floodgates opened. And I'm going to share that with you in a moment. Right. Does everyone know who these 2 companies are? Yeah. Yes. Okay, fantastic. So I've been listening to some Simon Sinek. You guys know who that is? Yes. Excellent. Fantastic man. And I'm listening to his new talk called The Infinite Game. And what he talks about is that the game that people are playing. And most people are playing a very finite game. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. right? And it's very linear and it's very finite. Most of us, we want to make a certain amount of money, retire, whatever that is. That's a finite game. When you play an infinite game, you're doing something completely different. You're not focusing on can I win, you're focusing on how long can I stay in the game. So, Simon does a lot of talks at Apple, and he does a lot of talks at Microsoft. And they've got very different focuses, they've got very different intentions, and they're focusing on creating a very different impact. And that completely changes the way that the companies run. So, what he said was that when he goes to Apple, their number one focus is to help teachers teach better and to help learners learn better. Pretty cool, isn't it? Doesn't that give you like goosebumps listening to that? Yeah. That's a pretty big thing, right? You know, I was with a client the other day and I asked her, what's her why? And they sell African art and furniture, arts and crafts. And her why is to preserve cultures and to preserve history. So you've got to think about that. It's big, isn't it? Right? So now we start thinking, and everything that Apple does reflects in helping teachers to teach better and learners to learn better. They're not focused on money, they're not focused on profits, but yet that has made them the most profitable company in history. Crazy thoughts, right? So let's look at Microsoft. He went and spoke at Microsoft. You know what their number one thing was? To beat Apple. So everything that they spoke about and everything that they did was about how do we beat the competition? And that's playing a finite game. When you play an infinite game, you know that sometimes your competitors are going to have better things than you. But you also realize that you're on a journey to growing it to the next level. So what is marketing actually about? It's about you. It's about who you are as a person. And some might say the brand, but what is the brand but an extension of the person that created it? Yes? That's why it exists.
You know, so often over the last almost 5 decades, 4.5 decades, I would find people who said, oh, I want to do this, I want to accomplish this, I want to do this, I want to have this, I want to be this. And then a week, a month, a year, even longer periods, I would ask them, how's things going? How's that goal going? And not everybody was pursuing it. And I was always amazed that people would say they want to do something. They want to be financially independent, but then it wasn't manifesting. And I was wondering, what's the distinction between people that have goals that get achieved, and what are the distinctions of people that set goals that don't? And I discovered that when you set a goal, an intention, that is aligned and congruent with what you truly deeply value, you increase the probability of doing the action steps consistently in a way to build momentum, to achieve ever greater accomplishments, to pursue and to achieve what's really truly meaningful to you. But when you set a goal that's a fantasy, because you compared yourself to other people and put them on pedestals, oh, I wish I could be like that, and not set goals that were really truly deeply meaningful, that your life really showed a commitment to, you would end up self-depreciating and beating yourself up and then questioning yourself and wondering why I'm not doing things and why am I procrastinating? Why am I, quote, sabotaging? So I realized that people who set goals that are congruent were the people that achieved the most, and people that set goals that weren't were the people that kept beating themselves up. And so I realized that I want to go and master this understanding and figure out what it is that allows people to go and excel. Because it can help people empower their life, what I've been inspired by. In any area of your life you don't empower, other people are going to overpower you. If you don't empower yourself intellectually, you'll be told what to think. If you don't empower yourself in business, you'll be told what to do. If you don't empower yourself in finance, you'll be told what you're worth. If you don't empower yourself in relationship, you may be trapped in something that's unfulfilling. If you don't empower yourself socially, you'll probably be told the propaganda that society perpetuates. If you don't empower yourself physically, you'll be told what drugs to take and what organs to remove. If you don't empower yourself spiritually, you may be subordinated to something that may not be rational, but it's something promoted. And it's so important to make sure that you empower yourself by living congruently. That's what authenticity, that's what integrity really means. And every human being has a unique set of priorities, a set of values that they live their life by.
but many times they're attempting to be outside that. And Einstein said it beautifully. He said, if you're a cat expecting to swim like a fish, you can beat yourself up. But if you're a cat and you love the trees, you're going to excel. And what determines what that is that you are is basically the set values that you hold. The hierarchy of values dictates your destiny, dictates perceptions, decisions, and action. Anything we can do to congruently increases our confidence, picks up or expands our space and time horizons, allows us to do something extraordinary instead of ordinary. Ordinary is fitting in and subordinating to the world on the outside because we've lost our confidence, subordinating, and we basically are afraid to set goals. I had a gentleman come up to me and says, well, you want to make God laugh, just tell me your goals. But that's for people who set goals that aren't really congruent. When people set goals that are really congruent, they achieve amazing things. And the truth is you have a desire to make a difference, and the uniqueness that you are based on your values is what gives you that potential to make the biggest difference. So the values really underlie, as far as every perception, decision, and action, which really dictates your destiny. That's why I talk about values wherever I go. I don't really talk on any stage anywhere without at least introducing the very fundamental human behavior. Because I think that people deserve to do something extraordinary. They deserve to try and not shrink. They deserve to stand on the shoulders of giants as living in the shackles of anyone. And I believe that if we understand our values, it will increase the probability of living congruently. And then what we do is we exemplify what's possible as a human being for other people, which magnetizes more people to go and do the same as a ripple effect. And it also magnetizes people, places, things, ideas, and events that are opportunities for our lives to excel and to expand and to. So that, I don't know, in a nutshell, is why I talk about these.
Now say it like you mean it. Life will never be the same. Life is changing. Oh, yeah. Last minute energy. Up. Say yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go there. I'd like to ask you, how many people in this room admit that you talk to yourselves? Who talks to themselves? Yeah. Guys, it's okay to admit it. You're not crazy. They only say you're crazy when you answer back. Okay, who answers back? Crazies. The way I see it, it's a good conversation. How are you doing? I'm fine. You're looking good. Thanks. Who's your daddy? You are. So we all talk to ourselves. The popping sheds. Don't be jadala. We all talk to ourselves. Are you always talking out loud? Sometimes. If you're not talking out loud, what are you doing? Do you know that your mind never stops thinking? Never stops thinking. Your mind thinks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days. It never shuts up. It's always thinking. Right now as I'm speaking to you, one part of you is sitting there listening, but another part of you is thinking lots of other thoughts. Why hasn't he got the popping shirt on? Geez, this guy can talk. When does he breathe? He's a bit over the top, but let's give him a chance. This thing, have you noticed sometimes at night you're trying to sleep? Hierdie ding wil still baby. Shut up, man. Shut up. Someone in Durban said, oh, I thought that was my wife. Nagging. She talks all the time. Now, your mind never stops thinking. Now, it's normal that your mind is always thinking. The question I was going to ask you is two questions. Number one, not are you thinking, because you are. What are you thinking? Number two, who's controlling it? Do you even know what you're thinking? Your thoughts are the seeds that create your future. If you build a house, where does the house start? Before the foundation, before the plans. It starts first with a thought. Would you agree? First you think about building the house, then you draw the plans, then you dig the foundation, then you build the house. Why? Because everything starts first with a thought. This venue that we are in, the Sandton Convention Center, somebody's thought. The car you are driving in, somebody's thought. Apple Products is one of the most successful companies. Does anybody know how much Apple is worth today? How much is Apple worth? Anybody? $1 trillion. Does anybody know how much is $1 trillion? How much is a billion? How much is a billion? 1,000 million. So $1 billion, think about this, is 1,000 million. Guess how much is a trillion? 1,000 billion. That's a lot. I mean, that's like my whole year's income. No, seriously, in Zimbabwean dollars. But Apple started in a garage. And who invented Apple? Everyone thinks it was Steve Jobs. It wasn't Steve Jobs. It wasn't Steve Wozniak. It was a Zulu guy. No, seriously, guys, think about it. The names. Imek, iPhone, iWatch, iPad, iJoke. But the Zulus are like, shiniwa. But it was Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. But here's think back to the 1980s. These guys had an idea in a garage. Today's worth $1 trillion. So here's my question. Is it possible that you are sitting on a multi-million-dollar idea? If you woke up tomorrow morning with Richard Branson's mindset. Now, not Richard Branson. I saw this woman getting quiet. Richard Branson. And not his bank account. But honestly, if you woke up tomorrow morning with Richard Branson's mindset, would you make a success out of your life? Yes or no? Yes. So would you agree that it is about cultivating the right mindset? Yes. Can you cultivate the right mindset? Yes. Is it easy? No. Well, it's simple. But it's not easy. But Robin, what's the difference? Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest is simple. Come on. I mean, how complicated? It's simple. Is it easy? So, becoming the master of your destiny is simple. It doesn't always feel easy, but it's worth it. So I don't want to say too much more. Please could you help me welcome my friend, a beautiful man, Mr. Please stand up and make some noise, Mr. Quimmers Visser!
Obani beba chinja mabubesi Embe Ona simpieza Obani beba chinja mabubesi Embe Ona simpieza Obani beba chinja mabubesi Embe all along the river, James Fitzarmy lay asleep. Come to crush the children of Mageba, come to exact the realm's price for peace. The morning as they settled up to ride, they rise under the fire of the steel. The general told them of the task that lay ahead to bring the people of the sky to heal. Embe, oh Nancy Piazza, Ubani Mega Tita Mabubesi. They rode through the seasons, wet weather.
know, Robin was all year above talking about mindset and mind power, and yet some of you still believe our country's economy is not good. Now, where does that come from? Everything comes from a belief. Why do you believe that our economy is not good? Because of the stats, because of newspaper, because of what is happening in the news, of the past experience, of things that is in the news about the future. But what if I tell you that it's only in the mind? It's how you look at things, and if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at changes. So I'm going to take you through a quote that I live on a daily basis. And that quote comes from Gandhi. How many of you have heard of Gandhi before? You all have heard. Now I'm going to challenge you of changing your beliefs about what is possible. Because Gandhi says everything starts with our words, our thoughts, and our actions. Everything starts with a belief that becomes our thoughts. What do you think of on a daily basis? Because our thoughts become our words. What you think of comes out of your mouth. They say sometimes what a heart is full of comes out. Because suddenly the thoughts and the words create our reality. If you all had to take your cell phone and have to take a selfie about your life, everything that is in it at that moment you've created through choices, but especially through words, beliefs, because suddenly your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values, and your values ultimately leads to your destiny. Now, stats released last year that 10 years ago, about 220,000 companies gave in their tax return. And it came down last year to 88,000. How many of you believe, by looking at that stat, that business is bad? Most of us. Because the stat says businesses have shrunk. There's not enough businesses anymore. But what if I tell you, those 220,000 businesses, right? They all had clients at one point, am I right? Yes or yes? Yes. So they all operated because they had to give in a tax return, yes or yes? Okay, so now, where's all those customers going to go if you look at it differently? Suddenly, 88,000, is it, no? Yeah, it's 88,000 companies have now suddenly more business. Am I right? Yes or yes? Yes. So how do you look at things? Now, I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story of how to make the impossible possible. How many of you believe fire burns? Oh, most of you do. Yet, I get people to walk on 500 to 600 degrees Celsius of fire. You know, where aluminium melts at 250, according to the medical books, at 150 you need to go to the hospital. And yet I get people to walk over 500 to 600. If you can do that, you can do it. Anything. If you can do that, you can do it. Anything. But yet you sit here and believe that fire burns. And then I can tell you, I've walked more than 1,000 times. I've helped more than 11,000 people walk over fire. And yet, we still believe fire burns. Because why? Because of the past. Because of the what if of the future. How many of you sit here tonight and say, what if this happens tomorrow? What if I don't have enough money? What if the economy changes? What if? And we get that and we create that fear inside of us. But you don't have to worry. I'm not going to get you to walk over fire tonight. I'm going to do other thing that is going to push you. But before I can tell you what it's about, I need to tell you my story. Is it okay with everyone? Okay, so for who in this crowd knows about me? Quibbers. Oh, there's a few hands. And the rest of you don't know about me? Great, I call you my virgins. You're going to find out tonight about me. So be prepared. Now I'm going to share with you how I went from crawling to a wheelchair to crutches to walking again. But it's not about walking. It's about what I did after the walking and what I went out to achieve just using mind power. You know, by now you should know that Robin Banks' mind power is powerful. And even in shaping your destiny, there where you can shape your destiny. I had to shape my destiny because I was born as a hemophiliac. How many of you know what a hemophiliac is? Okay, there's a few of you. It means I'm a bleeder. It means that my blood doesn't clot. It means that over the past few years, or since I've been born, bleeding in my joints has basically disformed my joints and disintegrated my joints. Now, just to give you an example, this is how straight my elbows can go. I can't even touch my own shoulders. Now, you'll notice I surround myself with a lot of beautiful women, so that when I need the scratch, I like, please help, you know. Why? Because they usually have long nails, so it just makes it easier. But it's the same with the ankles. One morning, I woke up and I couldn't walk. Now, as a hemophiliac, I need to inject myself with a factor 8. And by injecting myself, it helps the blood to clot. And it usually takes a few days. But suddenly those few days became 1 month. 1 month became 3 months. 3 months became 6 months. 6 months became a year. And it went on. How many of you, when you are so close, decide to give up? Because of what circumstances, what your reality shows. You know, I went to doctors, and doctors said, Kobus, you need both of your ankles fused. You need your elbows replaced. And you have a chance that for the rest of your life, you'll be in a wheelchair. I could either accept that reality, or I could challenge it. And that's by now that I met Robin Banks, that he changed the way I need to think. As a hemophiliac, I had to learn how to walk with crutches, but every day being in pain. This is just an example of the bruises that I got under my arms by walking on my crutches. So every time that I had to walk, it was in pain. I had to basically, every morning when I wake up, it takes me an hour to get out of bed. Because my joints, I say every morning, needs to be oiled. You know, like an old diesel machine or a diesel motor. You know, you first have to make it run so the oil can go everywhere. My joints are like that. Yet, do I look at my circumstances every day? Or do I challenge myself to say, but the impossible is possible? Because one night, I had this dream. Maybe I should go climb Kilimanjaro. But I'm laying in bed, not being able to walk, and suddenly I have this dream, let me go do something, because Tony Robbins, one of my mentors, says, get a dream so big it seems impossible, and go for it. It's like aiming for the sun, and you might just land among the stars. How many of you have dreams in this room? How many of you really wanted those dreams to become a reality? We all do. But are you willing to go through the pain and the investment in yourself to get what you want? Or are you going to sit here with all the excuses and blaming other people or blaming the environment, the economy, that you are not where you want to be? For more than a year, I was in bed. My reality said that I'm going to be in a wheelchair, yet I had the dream of climbing a mountain called Kilimanjaro. How many of you are willing to go for the impossible to reach the possible? Are you really? Is it really that effort? Because it's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. The reality in front of you is going to be impossible. But the thing is, you are here this weekend to invest in yourself. Am I right? Yes or yes? You by now know that if we are where we are and we need to get to our destiny, we need to realize we need certain skills. We need certain mind power. We need certain things that helps us to get where we want to be. Because your thoughts, your beliefs got you where you are now. And if you want to excel and achieve the impossible, you need to start looking at surrounding yourself with the right kind of people. Because when I shared with people I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro, do you think I had all their support, or do you think it says, Kobus, look at your reality? Suddenly I realized which people believed in me. They said, Kobus, your reality shows you can't do it. That dream is impossible. But then suddenly I surrounded myself with people that said, Kobus, if you go, had people on my team that would come every day to my house and say, Squibers, let's see how far you can walk. And then I would go to the front door and back. And the next morning they came to me and said, Quivers, let's see how far you can go. And I started pushing myself. Do you have someone that keeps you accountable? Because every single day, somebody was there to push me, to break through that mindset that it's not possible. And I got to a point where people asked me, so Quivers, when are you going to Kilimanjaro? And I said, next year. And then next year comes and people ask me, Quivers, when are you climbing Kilimanjaro? And I said, next year. And they, Quivers, we're going to stop supporting you if you don't know when you're going to climb. By when do you want to reach your dream? By when do you want that success? And so they asked me, I said, next year, July 9th to 18th of July. And as I prepared myself, I had 1 year, because why? I was in crutches. Every day, I had affirmation that every day I'm getting better and better. Every day, I'm getting healthier and healthier. What is your mantra on a daily basis? Do you believe what you say? Because words become actions. And it ultimately leads to our destiny. And I have the screen. Just want to show you. On Kilimanjaro, it was the most pain I've ever experienced in my life. I had bandages on my knees, my ankles, my elbows. The first day comes, I can't even see my goal of the top of Kilimanjaro. And as I don't see it, I see only a forest. And I started walking. And that first day, as I walked, 8 hours, and we only get to our camp at about 7 o'clock that night. And I get there, and I fall down, and I'm so much in pain, and I'm thinking this is only day one. How the hell am I going to get to the top of this mountain? But the thing is, life is going to throw challenges at you. Life is going to see if you really want it. Are you really wanting to go through that pain? Because the next morning I wake up, I say to me, tomorrow is a new day. I wake up and I get dressed for success. I get with my team and we start hiking. But again, is day 2 is more difficult than day 1. But yes, my friend, on day 2, we break through the clouds and I start seeing where I'm going. Something changed in me that I said, at least now I have something to focus on. That every step that I take gets me one step closer and closer. And as I climb this mountain, every day facing my challenge, at one point thinking, there was one camp, and I said to myself, it's the last place where a helicopter can come. Maybe I should make myself sick so that the helicopter comes and gets me. You know, because it's too much pain. But then I realized, but I came here with a mission, with a purpose. And the next morning I wake up and I have a whole team, 7 of them, that says, Quivers, we can do this. We believe in you. Quivers, do you have enough water? Quivers, can we carry your backpack? Quivers, Quivers, Quivers. I have that support. We are not meant to be in this life alone. That's why entrepreneurs here, that's why you have these amazing speakers, but you also have amazing peers out there that can keep you accountable, that can keep you motivated. Because in our night to reach summit, we reach a point just below Stellar Point, and we watch the sunrise. It's probably the highest sunrise in Africa. And as we watch the sunrise, I sit down. As I sit down, I'm giving up. Can't breathe. I'm coughing. I walk 2 steps and I can't go further, then I'm resting. And 2 more steps and resting. And as we're sitting there with 2 porters, there's a guy next to me with a big smile. And I think he's in the room tonight. I don't know if he's still here. And as we sit there and I'm giving up, comes to me and says, Quibus, let's go down. I will go down with you. You don't have to push yourself. And I was sitting there, because everything looks slow on the mountain, especially because there's no oxygen. And as I was sitting there, I said, well, come on, we're so close. We can see Stella Point. It's just above us. Go for it, man. You can do this. And he decided to go. But before he leaves, he made eye contact. And as he made eye contact, we had a moment in time. And then he said to me, Quibus, just remember your why. Why did you come to climb this mountain? And it's the same thing I want to ask you. What is your why? Why do you want that success? Why do you want that dream? And then he left me. But first, before he left, he gave me a hug. And as he gave me a hug, he leaves. And I'm sitting there processing. And as I process, I realize why I came. The moments we think we can't, we only at 40%. We actually are so much more capable of if we just believe in ourselves. Because why? Suddenly I had a bolt of lightning hitting me. Suddenly I've had more energy than when I started. And I pushed. And as I pushed, I got to Stella Point. As you see, even with my crutches. And as I got there, I realized I only got to Stella Point because I had to make a choice, but at least I was on top of the mountain. I could smile. And as I was standing there for this photo, Will came down, my friend, and he burst out of in tears because he thought I was already down the mountain. And yeah, I'm sitting at Stella Point. In my mind, I've reached a goal that in my mind at one point was impossible. I've pushed through more than I thought that is possible in my own life. Because I don't have elbows. I don't have ankles. Every step was a challenge. And that's why I ask you, those who want in this room want success, are you willing to take the steps? Are you willing to get that focus? I sat where you sat a few years ago. In 2014, I met Brian.
I caught up with a few glass walkers, and the real thing about this glass walking experience is that you need to have a reason why. You need to ask the question why. So let's go and hear what a few of these glass walkers had to say and why they have done it.
I'm Chantal, I'm from Mulder's Drift, and I did this walk because I believe in myself and I am very brave.
My name is Buitshepo Bolele from Botswana, and I didn't want to do the glass walking. I didn't think I can do it, but when I saw Kubas on top of the mountain, I realized that if I can leave this place without having walked on this glass, then I would have missed on the entire experience. Then I felt that I would have accepted that there are certain things I cannot do. And when I walked across that glass, I just saw a new world. I'm not the same person who went through. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Boris. I'm from Rudaport, and the reason why I did it is because I physically saw me accomplishing my goals for 2020. And you know what? I just walked. I was like, I'm not gonna let these small little pieces stop me from achieving what I deserve to achieve. And that's why I did it. And because of that, you know, I can't quite process it right now, but I know it's gonna kick in maybe about an hour's time. But wow, I just can't believe I did it. I feel like I want to tell the world now. So thank you so much. Thank you to Kobus Fisa for this experience. I'm truly grateful for it. Next stop is the firewalk. Let's do this. Woo!
Hi there, my name is Daniel. I'm all the way from Newcastle in KZN. And I had always this fear in my life which I had to overcome. And by taking that first step of faith, and when I walked down there, I just went to Kobus and I told him, you know, my fear is gone. I'm not afraid of tomorrow anymore. I'm not afraid of making mistakes because I was so afraid of not being successful in life. And now I know that nothing can stop me. I'm unbreakable.
So my name's Kelly, I'm from Joburg, and I did it to show that the impossible is possible.
Anything is indeed possible. You've heard it, you've seen it, and when your thought becomes an action, you become limitless. Thank you so much to Real Success 2020 and all the guys and girls who just imparted into our lives as well. So please do subscribe to Project CB and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.